Now, on today's Academy lesson, we're going to talk about two distinct and different ways to get into the bottom palm. Now, the bottom palm is palming a card from the bottom of the deck. Now, we've talked about top palms in the Academy before. However, today we're going to focus a little bit on bottom palms just because of the cover and versatility of a bottom palm. So what I like about this first method is that it comes from a spread. So you spread the cards. It's a very loose thing. You could show this hand empty as you're addressing the spectator, but upon regripping the deck, and maybe holding and gesturing with the other hand, you have now gotten the bottom card into a palm position, ready to be inserted into your pocket and produced that way, or maybe produced from a spectator's ear, of which they're going to say, wow, that's cheesy, but it's still something you could do. This is a very, very simplified method that just depends entirely on the initial placement of the card itself. So we're going to get into the mechanics of this particular move right now. So what's going to happen for this particular move is that when you're spreading the deck, you're going to bring it back and obtain a pinky break right there above the bottom card of the deck. However, you could do this any way you want. You could do a buckle, you could do a pull down, you could do whatever method you want to get a pinky break above the spectator's card. The merits of using a spread is that you leave the deck in a little bit of a disheveled condition once you spread it. So once you spread it and bring it back, the deck is in a little bit of a messy condition because you're not going to square it up right off the bat. The reason for this is because upon transferring the deck to the right hand, all that's going to happen is that this card that's getting with the pinky break right above it, the bottom card, is just going to get moved into this diagonal position. That's all that needs to take place for this palm to happen. So you're going to go from this position to this position. You know you're in the right position when your pinky is gripping the upper right corner of that card. So you notice right now we're in this position, which after a spread and squaring it up, it's very easy to bring it as you're transferring the deck from left hand to right hand. So now I'm in the position ready for this card to be palmed. My pinky is touching the upper right corner of the card. My thumb is at the bottom, and the card is at a slant. So right now it's at a slant in a current clockwise fashion. So right now, if you were to think of this like a clock, it would be at about the 1 o'clock position, this upper right corner, which the pinky happens to be gripping that particular corner itself. Now, when your left hand comes back under the deck to apparently just grip the deck into left-handed mechanics grip, that's when you execute the palm. So the palm is simply done by just almost literally putting this card right into palm position. So as your hand comes in, you are putting this card in palm position. Your left pinky is going to come in contact with the upper right corner of the card, putting it into palm as you bring this deck slightly forward. So it's as simple as putting the card in palm position and holding the deck between the thumb and the forefinger. And that's pretty much it. It's almost a self-working palm. Once you put your hand over here, all you're doing is bringing the deck forward and the card is automatically in the palm position. It's a wonderful little move and a very deceptive way of getting that bottom card into palm. So I want to say that it's an automatic palm. However, it's not, because you are still having to put a little bit of effort in terms of putting your hand placement in the right place. Please ignore the awful card design on this particular deck, but we're just going to have to bear with me as I go through the mechanics again. So once again, you are bringing your hand in this position. Notice that it's parallel with the bottom card that you're about to palm. Your hand makes contact with the card, bending it as the deck is brought forward. You could spread it one more time, addressing this spectator, but at this point, the card is in palm. Now, from here, you could go into your pocket and produce said card, or you could produce the card in whatever way you want. However, the palm at speed should just look like you're spreading the deck, addressing this particular spectator, putting the deck back in the hand, addressing this spectator, maybe spreading it again, and now the card is in full palm, ready for whatever purpose you have. Now, the grip on this is also very important because, as you notice, you can't see anything from this angle, even from this angle, you'd be hard-pressed to see that card there, which is in palm. Now, this is just done, of course, by holding the deck in a slightly forward position. Mechanics grip would be over here. However, this grip is a slightly protruded position where the deck is more towards the spectator than normal. But you see, this position is extraordinarily good at hiding that palm card. Now, what I like about this palm is that you don't need any sort of excess speed to do it. So you could just be very casual with the card, spread the card in this hand, spread the card in this hand, and now you have the card in the palm position. So it's a very, very casual palm. It's something that you don't necessarily have to do rushed or get in a hurry to get over with. It's very casual and still allows for the card to be placed in the left-handed palm. Now, the good thing about this particular palm is that it could be done with multiple cards without much difference in the actual technique itself. So instead of getting a break underneath one card, If you want to palm multiple cards, let's say the 4 aces on the bottom of the deck, or maybe 3 cards that the spectators picked, all you have to do is just eyeball those 3 cards and get a break right there below them. Or sorry, above it. So you get a break right there above it. And you're going to do the exact same mechanics. As you square up, you're just going to bring the cards diagonally. So it's the exact same technique. You're going to address the spectator with this hand. You're going to address the spectator with this hand. You could spread the cards. And now you have 3 cards in palm. Whereas before, you could have had 1 and there's absolutely no change in technique. So that's a wonderful little ploy to have. Now, this next palm is something that I thought I independently created. However, much like everything in Magic, this is something that was credited to Ed Marlowe. So Ed Marlowe has very similar ideas to this because it starts from a very unique break. So it actually starts from this, which some people might recognize as the Erdnase break or a clip break, because you are clipping the card between the pinky and the ring finger, and that's what's holding the break. So you notice this particular break is something that could be shown very clean from this angle. However, from this angle, not so clean. But you have a break right there and a separation between the cards. So this particular move is actually done from a double undercut. So once you double undercut the cards, in that position, you are left with the card in the exact same position as before, where it's in this palm position. I just like the corner sticking out a little bit because it allows me to have the same angles as a cop. So it allows you to have the exact same angles as if you were to do a cop, which is a move that we discussed in a previous lesson. So for this particular palm, we're going to use this very, very creepy King of Diamonds. And we're going to start from this particular grip position. Now, how do you get to this particular grip in a natural way? I like to dribble the cards, and upon returning this top card to the deck, that's when I bring my pinky underneath the top right corner of the card and just clip it. You don't need to have this massive clip where the card is sticking out and jarring out of your hand. It just needs to be a very light clip right there between the ring finger and the pinky. So once you dribble the cards and return the cards, just clipping these cards naturally, you're going to square up the cards. And now you're going to do the mechanics of a double undercut. Another move that we've talked about in the Simple Controls lesson. But all that's going to happen is that using the clip, while holding this clip in the right hand, you're going to bring about half the cards from the bottom to the top. Notice the position of the cards are on the left edge. So the left long edge of the cards. That's where these cards are being placed. So once I grab this last packet, you're going to be left in the same position as before. You notice that the card is diagonally, this time a little bit more towards the right, but it's still left in the same position as the palm as before. So it's almost an automatic thing. If you just bring the cards up to this edge, bring these next cards up to this edge, this top card is automatically in the right position where you could come in parallel with your left hand, press, so you're going to press as these cards are brought forward, and you have executed the palm effectively. So let's go over that one last time. You dribble the cards, get your clip break. So right now I have the clip break. You're going to double undercut. Remember, you are putting it and resting the cards on this long edge. You are completing the undercut. So if you guys weren't clear on that before, I'm grabbing the rest of the cards underneath this top clipped card and squaring it up with this top card. And now all I need to do is I'm in the same position as before. I'm going to bring my hand in, squeeze that top card as I bring this deck forward, and I have completed the actual palm itself. So it's a very, very simple palm to get into. So at speed, the move should just look like you're dribbling the cards, and then you give a double undercut. And in that action, in placing it in your left hand, you have actually executed the palm itself, and now the card is in direct palm in the left hand. So it's a very simple move. It's very disarming, and it allows for you to palm the card without any sort of action, very similar to the other one. All you need to do is bring your hand in, squeeze, and the card's into palm. So those are 2 bottom palms from a deck of cards. Very simple ways to get into a bottom palm. I find is a lot easier to do than a top palm, just because your angles are more covered. There's more leniency in this particular action. However, the limitations are, of course, that you are palming the cards in your non-dominant hand typically. So that might be a limitation to some. But those are just 2 bottom palms. You could use that for cards in pocket. You could use that to sneak cards out of the deck. So as the spectator's shuffling the cards in the action of handing the deck to the spectator, you could just palm the card off. And upon returning the deck, we're actually going to place the card back underneath. That's going to be the topic of a future episode on letting the spectator shuffle the deck and ways to, obtain control over cards after the spectator has shuffled. However, just at its core, that's what's happening. So it's a very simple palm. Practice it, and definitely leave in the comments below what you guys would use this particular palm for. typically you have card to pocket routines and stuff like that. So definitely do leave that. Thank you guys for being part of the academy, and I hope to see you guys on the next lesson.